Hello and welcome to Team Keep Swimming. This is our Sunday meeting, and today we have a very special speaker, Miss Gabriel Cole, who comes from Houston, Texas. She's been with Archer Evolution since May 2025, and she's absolutely been killing it. She is an avid traveler, and I'm so happy and grateful that she's going to share her recent travels with us and some travel tips along the way. Thank you, Gabriel, for doing this.
Awesome. Thank you, Leslie, for having me today. And hello to Wendy and Mercedes. I'm excited to present to you guys some of my travel experiences, things that have worked well for me when planning international travel, and then going into my most recent international vacation, which was Zanzibar, Africa, one of my dream destinations. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so we can get started. My goal today is really just for you guys to learn a little bit more about international traveling, and then ask questions as far as how I planned it through Archer, just so you can potentially take some tidbits, and use them when you guys are planning trips for your clients. So, can you guys see my screen? Thumbs up?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Yes.
Great, great, great. So, as Leslie stated, my name is Gabriel Cole, and I have been with Archer since May of 2025. And I created what I'm calling Bucket List Unlocked. And so, my goal with my travel group is to help people go to their dream destinations, places that they never thought that they would be able to go, and make it affordable for them to be able to do so. So here's, my logo and basically the overview of what my travel group is aiming to do. And gotta click. Okay. So a little bit of what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about my travel story, my who, what, when, where, why, my travel agent experience so far with Archer, what has worked well, and really just diving into my reasoning behind becoming a travel agent. Some tips about international traveling that have helped me and also helped me get clients and get them comfortable with going overseas and spending that money. I'm doing a deep dive into my African adventure and then just opening the floor for some Q&A. So going into my story about traveling, I've been actually traveling actively since I was about 21 years old. Really, when I was a child, we were very poor, but when I was in third grade, my grandmother she came across some money, won some money essentially, and she asked us where we wanted to go, and she took us to Disney World. And that was my first experience traveling ever, first time on a plane. And since that moment, even at a young age, I knew that I wanted to see the world. And so I'm also a huge Disney lover. So she knocked it out of the park. We often talk about that trip. But at that moment, I tapped into real wanderlust, and I have been at it ever since. Of course, like most college kids, started going to spring breaks, started doing road trips, things like that. And then going into my career, I was able to travel a lot for work. And then that opened up doors for me to eventually go overseas and really understand the importance of traveling. I believe that traveling is one of those things that truly shapes you and allows you to grow as a person. I enjoy learning about different cultures, going outside of my comfort zone, and just tapping into things that I can't do here in Houston. So, of course, traveling was the way to go for me. Very passionate about it. Going into my next point, I think that people who travel are a bit more well-rounded. Nothing against people who don't, but when you're in environments that you're not used to, you're forced to go outside and create new experiences. And that's a passion for me. I've had friends of mine who did not travel end up traveling by hanging out with me or just going places with me, and it has completely changed their perspective on life. And I think everybody should value that to some extent and try to integrate traveling into their life. A question that I get all the time is how many countries have I been to? How many places have I been to? And honestly, it's not that drastic. As far as the United States go, I believe I've been to about 32 states so far. Of course, my goal is to visit all 50. And then internationally, I think I've been to about 14 different countries so far. And I'm about halfway through the list of places that I want to go. Some of the places that I feel like have been the most meaningful to me, I'll go into next. I thought that was the next slide, but I'll circle back. Another question that I get a lot is how am I able to afford traveling so frequently? Um, and I attribute this to my intense budgeting and my ability to plan. Traveling is so doable if you plan it and if you budget for it. You can pretty much go anywhere you want if you have those two knocked out the park. And, like I said, growing up in poverty, you kind of learn how to budget at an early age. And when you come across money, you appreciate it more. So you know how to save it and make it stretch. And then with the time piece, just knowing how far in advance, coming up with a savings plan, things of that nature. Once you master those two, you're able to really have the world in your hands. So that has been my way to be able to travel so frequently. So, why did I become a travel agent? Again, I really wanted to spread my love for travel and open up doors for people who came from backgrounds like myself, people who did not know that they had the ability to travel. They thought they couldn't afford it. They thought they didn't have the time for it. All of these things that some people unfortunately believe are not just simply not true. And I was able to take a leap of faith and give it a try. Not really knowing how it would work out, scared to go on my first trips and scared to save or scared to just take that leap of faith. But it changed my life. And so I have so many people who want to go to places like Paris or Greece or the Maldives, and they think it's this just big, unobtainable goal, and it's really not. And so I like to come in and help people unlock those bucket list destinations and get them to places they never would have dreamed of. As far as my experience so far, I would give it about an 8 out of 10. I think for me, growing areas is time. I do have a full-time job, and so I personally would like to invest more into this space because there's a lot of untapped potential. But from the overall experience with Archer, it's been phenomenal. Anytime I've had any issues with bookings, they've been able to fix them very quickly. Leslie's a rock star. She answers any questions I have, even with her being all the way in Hawaii and our huge time difference. And she's very patient with me. She knows that I have a lot to give, but also very, very busy. And she's very patient and very understanding. So I definitely think that the travel agent route was perfect for someone like me, and obviously for the women on the call as well. Going back into top destinations, again, I think I've been to about 15 or so countries so far, but these will be the ones that I would say were in my top 10, just to narrow it down. Um, I've been to Santorini, Greece. That was probably the best trip that I ever took in my life. I went there for my 30th birthday, and it just was absolutely stupendous. Switzerland was another one that just took my breath away. Some of the best food that I've ever had, and I was blown away because I would have never imagined Switzerland having great fried chicken, but that's a conversation for another call. And then another one I'll mention is Paris. I am like a hopeless romantic. And I know sometimes people have mixed reviews of Paris, right? There's people who think it's overrated. There's some people who, have negative connotations with Paris. I'm not one of those. I'm a Paris fanatic, and I will never ignore an opportunity to go back. It's so beautiful, so rich in culture, the art, the food, the people. Paris is a hit for me. So that's just kind of an overview of some of the places I've been and my likes for them. And of course, I had to sprinkle a few photos in there. If you didn't take any pictures, then it doesn't count. Obviously, this here is me in Santorini. This is Dubai. I've been to Costa Rica. I did paragliding in Switzerland here. Took my mom to Mexico this May for her first time, and then my best friend and I enjoying Paris. So going into some of my international travel 101 tips. I like to overemphasize the importance of time, in my experience with international traveling. Now, obviously, time is important in domestic traveling as well, but it hits a little different when we're talking about going 14, 19, 20 hours away. And so there's three areas of time that I wanted to touch on with you guys today. The first time is time of the year. When I'm talking to my clients, the first thing I ask is, well, when are you planning to go? People come to me, hey, I want to go to Fiji next week. Not saying that you can't, but reel it in some and be a bit realistic. So I try to always get clients to understand the importance of when they want to plan their trip because that sets the tone for everything else. And that leads me into timely planning. When we have a realistic time of the year, we can create a realistic budget. And that is key, as I mentioned earlier, and things that have helped me. If the budget is 2 grand, and depending on where you are in life, you may need some time to save that money. Let's push that trip out a bit. If the budget is something a little smaller, then you may be able to do something a little quicker or turn it around faster. But budget has to match the time, a realistic budget at that. So making sure you have enough time to plan, enough time to save the funds needed to go on the trip. The third time that I like to focus on is using your time wisely while on the trip. This kind of ties into time of the year too. If you know you want to go to a place like Africa, considering how long it takes to get there, how long it takes to get back, how long are you going to need to take off work, things like that, where people don't always think of, have helped me cultivate experiences and trips for people that may have not been able to do that. And then the time that you're there. I have clients who they know they want to have excursions or they know they want to do things, but they don't really know how to map it out, and use that time wisely. You're spending hours at the destination trying to figure out what you want to do when you could have had that all mapped out prior. So just reiterating the time or the importance of planning ahead so that you can actually utilize the time while you're there. Then even being strategic about your plan. I'm big on the itinerary. I am an itinerary girly. It's I 10 by 10. I follow it to a T. Pivot if we need to, but I definitely stick to the itinerary. And it's because it's a strategy and it's strategic. Making sure excursions are not too far from the hotel room, making sure there's pickup options, making sure that if you are trying to have excursions, in 2 days or two in a day, making sure that they're close in proximity so that you don't get caught up in trying to rush to get to the next one. Just small details around time help the trip go smoothly and end up being a positive experience. So those are probably the biggest areas that I like to overemphasize when I'm selling, for international trips. Time, just doing a recap: time of the year, making sure PTO, budgeting, timely planning, spacing it out, making sure you have enough time. Some of us get paid twice a week, some of us get paid, I'm sorry, twice a month, some people get paid once a month, but however you want to break it down, as long as you have the time to do it, you can pull it off. And then third is using the time wisely while you're there and calculating the travel time as well. Another area I wanted to touch on was how do I market my vacations? And I have a pretty simple process. I haven't been doing this for a long time, but I have built up a reputation for being an active traveler amongst my social circle. So they would obviously be the primary area where I have been getting most of my clientele. But outside of that, there's a few things that I have been taking risks in the areas that I've been expanding in, and I just wanted to touch upon them in case it sparks any ideas with you guys. The first being email marketing. In November, I created a email marketing template or segment through MailChimp, and it's been very useful and successful. So currently, I send out emails every Tuesday on different subjects around traveling that fall within my niche. And I really gathered the subject matter from a survey that I did, to get the actual subscribers. So I launched a Southwest gift card giveaway in October, and I kind of looped it into my birthday, which is it was in October, and my goal was to get 100 people to enter the raffle, and then all of the people who entered would be merged into my mailing list for me to begin to nurture these people in a campaign. And I ended up getting about 76 people signed up. So, not bad for my first raffle. And so, those people have been moved into my email cadence and get my weekly emails where I'm able to promote my travel ideas for them. I put together like downloadable templates, travel guides, just showcasing experiences, really try to hit home when it comes to affordability because that's my main messaging statement to my target market. So it's very easy. The template I made is rinse and repeat in MailChimp. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's a very user friendly platform and it's free. So that's one thing that I would suggest probably tapping into if you haven't. The next is obviously social media. We all know the ins and outs of that. I'm currently on Instagram. I haven't hit my goal yet, but again, I think that's more due to me not investing enough time in that space. But it has been a useful vessel for people to learn about what I'm doing. So I'm definitely in the early stages of it, but I think that it is going to explode once I put that time into it. I've also repurposed my TikTok account to be focused on travel, and I'll be excited to update you guys probably within the next 6 months once I really hit the ground running there. Another area has been reviews. I have asked all of my friends, family, associates to leave me reviews on trips that they've either taken with me or they've experienced with me and they hit it out the park. So that's been something I've been able to implement into my email marketing as well as my social media marketing, and it has got me to bookings off of things that people have read from those reviews. So it is working, and I plan on continuing to promote that. Then lastly is networking. I'm a social butterfly, and every time that people ask me what I do, I don't just say, "Oh, I'm a marketing manager for XYZ." I always say, "And I'm a travel agent." I have business cards. I should have brought them to show you guys, but I do have business cards that I hand out and they have a QR code that go to my Instagram account, which showcases all of my traveling. And any chance that I get to mention it, it's a great conversation piece for one, and it's a great way for people to at least get to that Instagram to learn more about it. And so far from networking, I've had 3 clients that have booked with me since I've really started promoting my travel agency experience. Here are just some examples of the things that I mentioned. This is a great review from one of the young ladies who went to Africa with me. One of my good friends. This is the one that ended up turning into a booking for me. So I wanted to show you guys what a very good and detailed review looks like. Here is an example of one of my email campaigns. It's a screenshot. I wasn't able to get it the way I wanted it, but you can kind of get the feel of it. It's very simple, straightforward. Down here, you can see where they're able to click into my call to action, and it takes them to a page where I take an inquiry form that just asks them about where they're looking to go, budget, time, things like that. And then this is just a screenshot of my Instagram account currently. Building it up, but it has definitely helped me expose myself and continue to expand my brand. So let's get into why we're all here, which is to talk about Africa. To give you guys an overview of Africa, I went to Zanzibar, Tanzania, the way that they pronounce it. And I went in October. I was there for about 7 days, and I stayed in I guess you could say the downtown area. I had to fly from Houston, Texas to Dubai, which was a 14-hour flight. And then I flew an airline called Fly Dubai from Dubai to actual Tanzania or Zanzibar. And that was a 4-hour flight. The cost for the Emirates flight that's the airline I chose. It was a basic economy flight, was 1590, and then the Fly Dubai was included in that. I did have to purchase seats through Fly Dubai, which were I think about $30 each. But all in all, I would say I would definitely fly that whole route again. I'm a big Emirates fan. It was not a part of the Archer travels. I did book that separate. That's why I'm kind of touching on it early. But again, love Emirates. 10 out of 10 experience. For my hotel, I booked it through Beds Online, which is a one of our vendors that I use very frequently. The hotel was called Hotel Verde Zanzibar. It was a luxury resort and spa. It had a beautiful spa, beautiful views. It was not on the beach, but it was on a marina, so we were able to utilize the boats that they had at an extremely discounted rate. They had three restaurants on site, and the staff literally catered to our every becking call. We had two butlers on hand, and we had a driver who drove us around the resort and was able to coordinate with external drivers or taxis to get us where we needed to go. It also included breakfast. Our room was a two-bedroom penthouse. It was three of us in total. So I'm the one. I stayed in my own room, and then my two close friends stayed in a room, and there were two beds in their room, one bed in mine. And each room had their own separate bathroom. Each room also had their own access to a patio. We had a main patio that included a jacuzzi. This was the only picture I could get of it, but it also had these chairs here, a lot of seating areas, and just a beautiful view. Great place to watch the sunset. I got this room for $4,200 through Beds Online. And if my memory serves me right, I believe on their website it was $5,700. So extremely big price difference when it comes to the spend. So obviously Beds Online was the winner there. I did look at Room Res and I did look at Expedia Tap, but Beds Online had the best offer for that. I also booked it through the book now, pay later, so I didn't have to pay until about 7 days prior to the trip. And I also was able to cancel about 7 days before the trip. Luckily, we didn't have to do that. So again, we split this cost between the three of us, which made it a lot more affordable to stay in a very luxurious um, hotel while in Zanzibar. The excursions. I'm an excursion girly, as I mentioned, and I stick by my itinerary and always make sure I have a plan and use my time wisely. The main excursions that we did while we were there were swimming with the turtles. We visited a real African tribe while there called the Maasai tribe. We did a real life African safari. I legit felt like I was in a Disney movie, like straight out of Lion King. We went to one of their historical city tours and visited a popular place called Prison Island. And we went to this really cool and hip beach club while we were there and got to really get in the water and have fun. All in all, the excursions were around roughly around $1,200. And again, this is over a 7 day period. The most expensive one, and the reason why that price is a little high, is because the African safari. That excursion alone was about $600 per person. The reason why it was so expensive is because Zanzibar is an island and we had to fly into the mainland of Tanzania to actually do the safari itself. And so the price for the African safari also included round trip tickets to the mainland and back to Zanzibar. If you ask me, that's a steal. So you get round trip flights. You get the full excursion of the safari, and then of course they fed us and gave us alcohol and champagne and all of the things, which I will show you guys. So that was the most expensive one, and then the remaining $600 was broken up between these excursions, which all included pickup and drop off, which I'm big on when I am on international trips. I don't believe in driving while I'm on vacation. That's just me personally. Shout out to you if you like rentals. No judgment here. Expedia Tab has great prices on rentals, just throwing them out there. But me, I don't like to drive, so I always make sure that transportation is included. Every excursion on here was booked through Viator. If you take nothing from this call, please take Viator is a game changer. I have been using Viator since I started traveling, way before I even thought about becoming a travel agent. It is so wonderful that now we can get paid for using Viator. The reason why I am a fan of Viator, a few reasons actually. One, they will refund you your money super fast. Anytime I've had to cancel or move or change things, I was able to get refunds if I'm within policy within minutes. I've never had an issue getting money back. And we all know with traveling, things happen, things come up. They've always been able to have a very seamless process when it comes to refunds. Two, contact. If you can't get in contact with the person who is supposed to be doing your tour, if you call that Viator number, I mean it's in minutes where I'm getting someone on the phone to get the information that I need. And that's imperative when you're all the way in places like Africa or Dubai. You want to get in contact with someone very quickly to resolve a problem. And then three is just the overall affordability. I've been able to do some pretty cool excursions for what I feel like is an affordable price versus some of the times where I go and try to look at different websites or just go direct. Viator seems to be the most affordable option for me and for my clients. Also, on the travel agent side, I love that you can just send the travel, I'm sorry, your client a link and they can book it on their own and you still are able to get the commission for that. That's such a seamless process and easy for me when it comes to getting those excursions locked in, and they do add up. I know it's only about, I think, 10% of what the cost is, but if you're going on a trip where they're doing five excursions and there's five of them, that starts to add up. So big Viator fan. Moving on to food. We did a lot of hotel dining. All of our excursions included food. The only real restaurant that we spent a lot of money on was this popular restaurant that a lot of people travel to called the Rock Restaurant, which I will also show you guys. So now I'm going to transition into kind of a walkthrough of Africa picture wise because I like pictures. I think they tell the story better. Hey, this was the first thing I want to kind of talk about when we talk about international traveling is expectations versus reality, because a lot of people, this is a delicate subject. A lot of people have expectations when they go to these different countries that it's going to be exactly what they see on Instagram or TikTok. And that is two things can be true at once. There are areas carved out to be like that, and then there are the areas where the locals live. Each area has its own story, and each area is beautiful in its own way. And I always try to express that when people are planning these trips because I don't want them to be disappointed. This was one view of our hotel and from our hotel. And then this was kind of like when we were riding through the streets. But then here you see this is the view from my penthouse suite. And this is another area of us walking through the streets. So when I'm talking to clients and they have these, big expectations, I just want them to be realistic and I want them to be able to embrace either side of the culture, whether it's the side that is on TikTok and Instagram or it's the authentic side where you really are getting to see how these people live. So I kind of wanted to start with that just to level set. And this is my good friend who left me that wonderful review, by the way. That's my girl. Going into excursions, this was the turtle sanctuary, Prison Island. Some of these turtles were like 100 years old, and we got to get up close and personal and touch them and feed them, which was amazing. Then I love animals, so the peacock was flirting with me. I thought, why not take a picture of it? This is what I call my postcard image. This was at Prison Island as well. Beautiful water, beautiful trees, nature, everything about it was absolutely gorgeous. This is that stupendous safari that I mentioned to you guys. As you can see, I'm literally having the time of my life. I'm like hanging out the car. Of course, this was after maybe two glasses of champagne, but whatever. Elephants are my favorite animals, so I was just overjoyed to see them in person and get so close to them. It was an amazing experience. Here I am again after some champagne, clearly hanging out, just doing my thing. Got to see some giraffes. These are my two friends who came with us as well. On the safari in total, though, we seen elephants, giraffes, zebras, a lion. We seen hippopotamus. We seen a baboon. We seen antelope. We seen Timon and Puma. We seen everything. It was amazing. This was by far my favorite excursion. I just have a lot of elephant pictures because I'm biased. But this was a photo of just the whole safari itself. You see the mountains in the back, the sun coming through the the sun coming through the clouds. It was beautiful. We also went to do an excursion at a place called Cheetah Rock, and they house animals there. And we were able to, yes, this is a real live cheetah, by the way. And we were able to pet her and interact with her. And no, I was not scared, even though I kind of look terrified right here. But great experience. Would do it 100 times over. This was also at Cheetah Rock. We got to interact with the lions as well. And you can see I was trying to get a picture with Nyla here, and she's kind of looking at me crazy, but she was a sweetheart. This was when we went to swim with the turtles, which was another just out of the world experience. You're literally surrounded by turtles in the water. They actually bit me a few times, but they were more like kisses than bites, so I let it slide. But we got to feed them and swim with them for about 2 hours. And again, this was all booked through Viator, so anything's possible with Varder. This is more of me there, some ocean views from this beach. I do have a video if you guys ever go to my Instagram that kind of shows the sandbank, but this is the only real picture. I have more videos of this. They have the drones that go out and just showcase all of the water around it. This was probably my second favorite excursion. And I think that's it for that. So I will stop talking and I will open the floor to any questions you guys have around Africa, around any other places that you've seen on my list, or just any travel questions that you have in general.
Okay, so I have a question. Like when you booked for specifically Tanzania, right?
Yes.
Um, did you have to get like any vaccines to go?
Yes, that's a great question. So, we did not have to get any vaccines to go to Tanzania. The reason why, though, is because we were coming from Dubai. And so they have a list of countries that if you are coming from that place, you don't have to get vaccinations. And then they have one where you do. So, hypothetically speaking, if we flew to, I think maybe like Kenya, for example, and then flew from Kenya to Zanzibar, we would have needed to have vaccination papers. But because we came from Dubai, which is not on their list, we were able to bypass without having to be vaccinated. My friend that left the review, she did go ahead and get vaccinated because she just wanted to be rather be safe than sorry. But my suggestion when flying into any country like that is just to do a deep dive into what their rules and regulations are because it definitely varies per country.
And did you have to pay any extra like fees? 'Cause I know when I was looking to go to Zanzibar for July and I was choosing a hotel, they mentioned that there was like a specific fee added with the total cost. I think it was like
For
a
the,
city fee,
I'm sorry.
like a city fee, I believe, but like every hotel had a different price for their city fee in Zanzibar.
I did not experience that with beds online. Everything was included in that one price I paid. When I got there, I had to do a $90 deposit, but I did receive that at the end of my stay. So I think it may vary per hotel, or maybe the vendor just included that cost into the total cost. But if it was included, I don't think that it would be too expensive, but that would be something that I would probably call and just give them an ask about. I hope that answers. But I do, and another thing I want to touch on as far as what you need to go to Zanzibar, we did have to get travel insurance. That was mandatory. And that was about $45 to get. The travel insurance was a process though. So if you are going over to Tanzania specifically, you need to get that in advance. I got mine pretty early. I think I got mine in August, and it took them about 4 weeks to actually process that and get it to me. We all have that friend that waits to do things last minute. I did have a friend who waited till like October 1st, and she had to call them a few times to try to expedite it. We were a little nervous if she was going to get her paperwork, and she didn't get it till about 2 days before our trip. So be sure to look at that travel insurance. and plan to get that in well in advance because they definitely are not quick when getting that. You can get it on arrival, but y'all, when I tell you the line to do that was wrapped around the corner, I would not suggest it. And some of the information that you need to give them that, I just feel like it's better if you do it in advance because it's a pretty detailed process. Any other questions? Awesome.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. I really appreciate you doing this for our team. And um, anytime you want to do another training, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. And I know you
Thank
can
you.
help us out in a variety of ways, from even training about Viator or marketing or whatever. So we will be in touch about that. And I appreciate
Awesome.
you. And thank you so much. And thank you, all the ladies, for
Thank you,
showing
Wendy.
up. I will post this in the group chat. And next week we won't be meeting on Sunday, but the week after we will. And I'm sure if you have any questions for Gabriel, you can hit her up in Telegram. Would that be okay?
Yes, of course, please. Anytime, reach out, ask away. I'm here to help and support.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great Sunday, everyone.
Thank you guys.